All right, so I'm the chair, Julie Grace. When we do a roll at for our library, I'll call out your name. So Sarah is here.
I'm here.
Christina. Or should I say the full name? Sorry. Sarah Kinsman.
Present.
Christina Hogarty.
Present.
Cindy Ide.
Present.
And Meta Mitchell.
Present.
And myself, Julie Grace. So we'll call the meeting to order at, I don't even know what time it is because it's not
6:14.
6:14.
6:14. We're called to order. So the first thing on our agenda is the meeting minutes from
From the last meeting.
January 22nd.
Did everyone get them?
Yes.
Did
Did
everyone
anyone
read?
have any queries about them?
No.
Okay.
Does anyone want to? All right, so there's no changes or anything to these meetings?
No, not from me.
No changes.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
Yes.
Motion to approve.
So Christina, motion to approve, and do I hear a second?
Second.
That was Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Sarah, yeah, you were there, right? Oh no, you were
I was
Sarah.
not there.
I'm not gonna ask you. All right, so
I
Meta,
have it down that Sarah wasn't there, but the rest of us were.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
we can have a second from the people who were there. I think we have, haven't we? Got
We have.
Christina and Cindy.
oh yeah, no, now I'm just, so all those in favor, so Meta, I have to call your name one by one. Meta,
In
Aye.
favor.
okay. Cindy,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
and Julie Grace, aye. So the motion is passed. All right. So, the financial report update.
Okay, everyone. So just before I get to that, let me just update you and say that the approval letters all went out. So the approval letters went out to the participants basically by the 5th of February 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you need to write that down and worry about it, but it was done. So we only had a few people who were paid before COVID hit. And so the financial report, the annual financial report reflects that. What I wanted to tell you all was that I have talked to the temporary Crown accountant. I've got a copy of the completed annual report. I will be posting that to the Massachusetts Cultural Council website in accordance with the rules. It needs to be in there before they decide how much money can be allocated for next year, which is coming up soon because October is our opening.
Right.
So that was all I was going to say. I just want to let you know that the annual report has been completed and I have reviewed it, and it's been sent to the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and I'll be putting it on the website. That's part of the system. Normally
Right.
normally Julie, you would have met with the accountant to discuss it, but the accountant has left and we had COVID.
Yeah, it's crazy. So how many ended up being paid for this year, do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to go through that on the next item on the agenda. If you wanted to post to share screen the document I sent you. I don't know if you can do that if you're not host. You may have sent it to Cindy.
Well, Cindy might be able to, but right now I can't because I can't go, my phone is tied up.
Okay, so Cindy, let me send you the sorry, I've got to send it back. Okay, where am I? How did I send it?
I love technology.
So I'm just trying to, okay, I'll send you an email.
What do
Right,
you
Cindy,
want,
just to send you
the
something.
agenda?
No, this is a document I want to share with you all. So I want the host to post it. So just send it, Cindy, to your.
Okay.
So hopefully you can share the screen.
I'm just waiting for it to come through.
It'd just be easier to go through if we all do it together rather than, you know. So just as a preamble, Chair, if I can speak, I would like to just start a preamble and say that I have a list of all the grants we gave out this year. I want to discuss with you the ways in which we can accommodate the applicants whenever possible in order to pay out their grants. I had a lot of discussion about this with the Massachusetts Cultural Council very early in the COVID crisis. So March, April.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that we can make decisions today which will allow us to carry on into next year. And I'll go through that when I have the list up, if you can.
Almost. Let's see if I can pull that up. All right, there's my problem. Share screen. And you're gonna see a lot of other things. Hold on. Is that showing?
That is, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I spoke to the Massachusetts Cultural Council advisor on this, they were still struggling with what they could do. But basically what they said to us was that we can try and accommodate people wherever we can. There are two main ways of doing that. One is for paying out against expenses that they've already had but can't retrieve. So we could pay, although we know we're not paying for the concert, we could pay for expenses that they weren't able to retrieve back, like hiring a hall or something like that, or publicity. So we could pay out against those receipts. Remembering we have to pay out against receipts. So that's one alternative. And the other alternative is to offer them an extension to their grant. So all these grants have to be, at the moment, have to be paid out by the end of February 2021. So that was a date on the approval letters. Now, if people felt that at the time, it was like, no, we might be doing this in the autumn, in the fall, but obviously it isn't going to happen. But rather than reapply for a new grant, some people might prefer to keep their existing grant and then look to using it next year. So we could decide to extend the lifetime of the grant. Now, if we don't, the money goes back into the pot and we are required to put it out again next year. So when we discuss things in November, December, we'll be required to spend all the money we have. If someone wants to extend their grant, then we can keep the money set aside for them, and then it doesn't go back into the pot. Does everyone sort of understand that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But do they have to spend the money before February if they
at the
extend it?
moment they do, but we could agree an extension if we
Okay.
agreed in a face-to-face meeting. This is why we have to have this meeting. So, for example, we could, if you look at the list at the beginning, well, this is no particular order. This is the order it's in. So, I'll just start with the town of Grafton Rec Department. They were able, so far as I can find out, so far have held one summer concert. I think the original series was 5 to 6. So we could pay them out for a proportion of the grant, or we can extend the lifetime of the grant into next year so they don't have to reapply. So one of the questions is, you know, if we would normally give them their full entitlement, there isn't any reason why they couldn't just reapply, and we'd probably give them the grant anyway. So as long as the rec department is in a position where they can reapply in October, then we would probably give them $1,500 for next year. And they'd be better off claiming for one concert a portion of the grant and then reapplying next month. But I need to discuss it with you because you need to agree to it before I can put it to them. Would you agree that if they have only done one concert out of, say, 5 in the original grant proposal, that we should proportionately pay them out? Say there's 5 of them, we give them $300.
Oh, I think that's a good idea. When I was reading some of the stuff, you know, that was their suggestions, is we either, you know, pay out a portion, or even sometimes they were saying try to pay out,
More.
talk to the town to pay out to support the artists. But I think this is a good solution. And then if we ask them to extend their grants, if they wish to do that, that could work out well.
Well,
Mhm.
economically for them, it would be better for them to ask to have this one concert paid out and then
Yeah.
reapply next month to get the whole grant, because I'm sure we'd give them $1,500.
Mm-hmm. I would
Yeah.
agree.
So that would be my advice to them. Now, if they have expenses from other concerts that they had arranged but were unable to have, would be prepared to accept to pay them out
Right.
as well. Say they had 5 concerts and they had a booking fee of $60 for each concert performer. Would we be prepared to pay that out of the $1,500? Does everyone
Yes.
agree it's reasonable?
I think that sounds reasonable.
And they're going to have to give me the invoices, or we can't do the financial stuff. Stacey, good to see you.
Yep.
So just to let Stacey know what's going on, we're just going through the list of all the grants we gave last year. Well, it is last year, in order to find out what we can do to help the individual artists, and then also what we're going to do next year.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So the Grafton Public Library seemed a bit dubious of whether they'd done anything or not, but someone thought they might have done one show. Now, they asked me, can we use this for something that wasn't on the original grant proposal? And the answer is no. Once we've approved the grant is approved from the Massachusetts Cultural Council level as for that particular activity. So they take that activity virtually online or amend it slightly, but the grant is based on that. So I'd be happy to pay out a proportion of the fees of their program costs if they have done one performance and they can produce the invoices to support it.
Okay.
They may or may not be better off applying for a new grant next year, or simply asking if they can extend the lifetime of the old one. I don't think we as a council would want necessarily double dipping, to have people apply for $900 for next year and still have $600 left over from this year. Would people agree that doesn't sound terribly, doesn't sound very fair for other people? So it's either or, I think. That's the way I'm going to phrase it to them, really.
That makes sense.
Yes.
So Many Thanksgiving, there was some kind of issue with the payment on this one. I've sent off the request for payment before. It seems it got lost. I'm not blaming anyone on the team. I think it just seems to have happened more at the town end. So I'm going to start that process again. So we should be paying them out in full. And I will be sending that to Julie and Stacey later on this week.
Okay. Okay.
Now, Art in the Valley have a fairly large grant. They've got $800, which is the full grant they asked for. They've requested an extension into next year, and they're hoping to do it. I think they said in early summer next year. What do you think about that? So just to review you, that was basically, you know, painters and sculptors and people doing arts and crafts, basically in the Blackstone Valley.
Mm-hmm.
And they were
Yeah.
having an exhibition, and you know. So they've requested an extension. I think it's reasonable.
I agree.
Okay.
Yes.
So Apple Tree Arts run the Small Stones Festival. Obviously they're not having one in 2020. They had already this grant was for last year anyway, and they've been paid. So that answers your question, Julie. Who's been paid?
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
paid out that money.
Okay.
Grafton Historical Society have asked for an extension, but I was trying to contact, that was back in the day when they were expecting COVID to be over fairly soon. I don't know what their status is, but if I have your basic approval to extend them, then I'll offer them that as an alternative rather than having to go through the grant application process. If, however, they're not going to do I Now Pronounce You Lucy Stone anymore, they should really apply for a new grant.
I would
Right.
agree.
Now, the Clapham Hill Symphony Orchestra Chamber Music Series was designed for 2 concerts in January and March, $500. They have requested full payment based upon the January performance. I said I'd discuss it with you. On the spirit of trying to help artists to keep going during these difficult times, they were just a whisker away from doing the second performance. They had gone through all the rehearsals, all the preparation for it. They simply couldn't do the concert at the time. In this particular case, I would recommend that we do pay them in full, because they had gone through all the preparation for the second concert
Yeah.
just before COVID closed
Okay.
everything down.
I would agree
Agree.
with.
I would agree.
I agree.
Thank you. For the Blackstone Valley Community Art Project, that was going to be the new park in Grafton, in North Grafton, sorry. And they were going to have a painting session there.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard back from them about whether they have anything planned for next year. So we're going to have another meeting for some of these to actually agree procedure. I wanted to start off by talking about these ones, because if I know what your minds are, then I can reach out to them with suggestions. So I will contact them afterwards and ask them what they want to do. The second grant that we have paid is the hands-on history one at North Street School. That was completed last year and it's been paid. I haven't heard anything from the Audio Journal about whether they're continuing Radioactive Theatre, but I'm hoping they have been, because I guess they could probably do almost all of that virtually.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
some of these people, we won't know that they're going to ask to be paid until they ask to be paid. And traditionally, the Audio Journal would not do it until they completed that particular series. So it's not that they haven't asked for the money, or not going to ask for the money, just I don't know if they've done it or not. Basically, the dance chair exercise for seniors, I'm not sure that we went ahead or not.
It
If it
may
went
have.
ahead, I guess we'd pay. They're going to ask for payment, we'd pay them. But other than that, my recommendation is that we advise them to reapply next year. because I don't really think there's too much chance of them conducting any kind of activity with seniors at the moment.
Right.
Okay.
Touchstone was due, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Whitton Community Centre, oh, thank you, you're doing the arrow bit. The Summer Youth Theatre, this is only a small amount that we gave them this year. In the past, we've given them $1,000, and this year we only gave them 200 because we sort of felt they had their share, and they don't really use any local kids in this. They request an extension. They asked originally if they could actually do it later, and I said that would be fine, let us know. Now they've asked for an extension. I think that having an extension is fine. If they manage to do something virtually in the next few months, that would be good. Other than that, I'm going to recommend to them they reapply. We can always decide what to give them when they apply, but I think they should reapply.
I agree.
Me too.
So Northbridge Brass Endeavours decided that they would go virtual and make a free performance for any activities that they've been doing. Now, we had actually basically given them the grant for brass band concerts. No particular date, but the main one we were looking at was one in Mechanics Hall in June. So they have a virtual performance. I was invited to it, so I know. And they've requested reimbursement based on that. I think that $200 is not that much. I personally would feel that they've done their best to meet the requirements of the grant. The fact it was no longer a subscription concert but a free one isn't really an issue to me.
Agreed.
I agree.
Thank you. Touchstone, I haven't heard anything from. As their workshop was due to be held in April, I doubt it's gone ahead. We'll see, again, if they have done anything. I will reach out to them and ask them if they've done anything. Other than that, we'll see what happens. Alphabet Valley Master Singers, they will have actually performed some concerts in this series before COVID struck. So my feeling is that I'll reach out to them, but if they have performed at least 1 or 2 concerts, giving free tickets to Grafton seniors is what the grant's based on, we would pay them.
Yes.
Agree.
So the Grafton High School has requested an extension. They are hoping to do this activity in June 2020. And I have no problem with extending it for them.
Yeah.
This is at
I
the
don't
Grafton
either.
High School.
I agree.
So June 2021?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Blackstone Valley Community Concert Band, we give them a small amount of money because they don't not necessarily that local for their summer concert series. I will reach out to them and see whether they have performed 1 concert or several in their series. I think if it's a low grant that we gave them, they asked for 400 and we gave them 100. I sort of feel if they actually did a performance or went part of the way there, we would probably reimburse them. So again, as long as they can produce the paperwork to support that they actually did perform a concert, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the same thing applies to the Blackstone Valley Chorus. Again, they would have had some, same thing applies as for other concert seasons for Athabet. They may have had some concerts they performed in the fall. They normally have one around Remembrance Day. So if they did do that, then my feeling is we've paid out 100.
Yeah, I agree as
In
well.
the spirit of supporting artists in our area.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think we need a sort of motion on this because there's fairly significant changes we're suggesting, Julie. So if we could have a motion to accept these recommendations, I would put it out to you for the next meeting. We'll review the situation again, but I think we should, in principle, approve the following motion: that where possible, we will reimburse the artists for work that they have done in preparation for concerts or for concerts they have done during the season. And for
Right.
those activities where they have requested an extension and it seems reasonable, we would accept that request.
Mhm.
But I'll probably put the extension all the way out to the end of 2022. It just makes, sorry, not 2022, the end of the year 2021. So that's where the February comes in, okay? Because I think it's reasonable to give them the same amount of time to get themselves together. One thing that's obvious to me is that this has thrown so many people into utter confusion about what's going on and how they're going to do something, and they keep on trying to restart and then stopping. So I think getting them to actually ask their money could take a while.
Right. Do I hear a second on that motion?
I
Second.
second.
All right, so I'll do a roll call on the vote. Sarah,
Yep, I agree to accept the changes. Mhm.
Christina,
I agree.
Cindy,
Aye.
Meta,
Aye.
Stacy,
Aye.
and Grace is aye also. So, yep, that'll pass. We're all in favor of that, Meta. That sounds good.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm sure they will be grateful. It's good to get some of these things sorted out, at least at the beginning. So I don't know if I put this down on the agenda actually, but just before we go to the end of the session, we are expecting obviously to have people asking for grants in October.
Okay.
If you know anyone who is planning anything for next year, thank you very much, Cindy. Thank you very much for doing that. It's great. It's a lot easier than all sitting here trying to look at our screens and look at each other, you know. I think basically, you know, we should encourage anyone who does have anything they plan to apply for the grant. I mean, it's worked for us, but who cares? We don't know actually what the situation is going to be at the government level. I think if you look at the information we've had, it looks a little dubious. They're talking about wildly diminished revenues for 2021, which means wildly diminished grants for 21 and 22. So I think that if anyone who's interested in doing an artistic endeavor between now and the end of 22, they should probably think about applying for it in October.
Okay.
So that's not official. So but anyone you know who might be doing that, then drop the word in their ear. Cindy, can you make sure that the rec department is aware of the deadline for application and actually does the application?
Can.
And Julie, can you make sure the public library is aware of the deadline and thinks about what they might do?
Yeah, I'll get in touch with Beth.
And any one of you who's got a school who has an activity that they would like to do or ought to do, please remind them to apply as well.
Can you just remind me the exact deadline for applying?
I think is it October the 15th?
That number's in my head, but I'm not 100%.
And it opens around October the 3rd or something like that.
Should we put anything on the webpage that says you can apply? Do you have anything kind of
No,
like a
but there's no
blur?
reason why we can't put something out there, Cindy, and say, I mean, you know, we're open for business type thing. Why don't we add to the minutes for this meeting that we're going to do this, but we probably need to post something separately because these minutes won't be approved to our next meeting. And our next meeting would probably be, you know, it depends how much follow-up we need. If we don't need to discuss any individual grant applications, we probably won't need to meet now until November when we have had all the applications in. So if we come up with something, if I send you something, Cindy, can you post that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you have something kind of a basic outline of what folks need to do and where to go, I can put that up on the webpage and I can put it out on Facebook.
I can certainly do that. So we were going to meet about publicity. That was what the original meeting was planned for in March. So this is our opportunity to try and publicize it as much as possible.
We can do that.
So I don't know how much money there'll be. It seems to be, it obviously hasn't come through yet. So the new temporary accountant though seems very efficient. So
Yes.
doing a good job. Okay, so Stacey and Julie, I will be sending you an invoice for payment
Okay.
for poor people at the school waiting for their Thanksgiving to come around and get ready. So, I'm not quite sure what happened there. It's something got really confused about that because they sent the stuff in and then they sent them live, and I was sworn that I sent it off, but I can't find a trace of it. So that was it from me, I think. Except we ought to propose a meeting date in November already because we need to get through the agenda normal. So we're going to assume it's going to be normal. We're going to have a grant application. They're going to be reviewed by Massachusetts Cultural Council. We're going to meet to review them. We're going to decide on rejections. We're going to send out the rejections. We're going to wait for the response to the rejections, and then we're going to have another meeting to decide on the grants. It's our normal pattern. But it'd be great if we could decide on a date now, so that we could actually get it started a little earlier, because we need to allow longer for the rejection process because people are so slow at the moment and the post is slow.
Mm-hmm.
Wednesday nights work for most people?
Sorry?
Wednesday nights too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm still here. I just had to pull my calendar up on my phone, so my
No problem.
video is gone.
Grab mine
No, I don't
too.
know what date. Has anyone got any idea what the date was that the Massachusetts Cultural Council sent the list out last time? It was quite soon after the deadline, I think. Sort of the end of November, October. So I think it'd be good if we could meet as early in November, well before Thanksgiving, put it that way. So we
November 4th?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
November
that's-
4th, the 11th is a holiday, and then there's the 18th, which is the week before. So I would say if we try for November 4th.
yeah, let's do that.
Yep, I agree.
Just
Same
in case
time,
there's
6 a.m.
some kind of hitch using the Zoom as well, because I gather the town's very busy with it.
Yeah.
Do you want to do 6 p.m. again? Does that work for everyone?
I
Works
think
for
Okay
me.
with me.
I'll book the,
We don't want to have we don't want to set a meeting date for December now, do we? We're all so busy,
As I say, my calendar's pretty open. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, where are all the concerts gone? Okay, well, we can wait till the November then. But I mean, just as long as you remember, it should be probably about 4 to 5 weeks after the 4th.
Right. So the 2nd or 9th of
2nd
December.
or 9th.
2nd or 9th.
Shall we just set it for the 9th?
No, just for the 9th. That's good.
Let's just do the 9th.
good.
Yep.
We can always change it if we have to.
I can reserve the dates on the Zoom so we don't
be
get
wonderful. Thank
bumped
you,
out
Cindy.
by anyone else.
That'd be really
Perfect.
great. Yeah. All right. Well, that was all the business I have. I think the chair has to go through a checking. Are there any questions from the public, Cindy?
That's a good question. Nope, I do not see any.
In that case,
If I'm doing it right, I do not see any. If I am not seeing them, I apologize.
So I think if you could just do a closure then, adjournment, Julie. But before you go, I have one more thing to say.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I'm going to do it not as part of the meeting, sorry. We close the meeting and then I'll discuss it.
So I'll adjourn the meeting. If someone could just tell me what time it is.
It is 6:49.
6:49. We're calling it, and that is it.